Yo, what is going on? It is Jordan here, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the 10 social skills that will make women obsessed with you. Now, this is going to be from the context where you are interacting with a woman or women that are already attracted to you, that already have some level of interest in you, preferably high interest, but nevertheless, this is going to be from the context that a woman is attracted to you. Now, before we do hop into these 10 specific social skills that will make a woman obsessed with you, if you want extra help when it comes to maximizing your looks, becoming the most attractive version of yourself, but also attracting women to you that already have high interest in you, that have high attraction for you, that aren't going to flake on you, that aren't going to take forever to text you back, that aren't going to be hot and cold with you, but they're actually highly into you. They really like you. They actually want to see you, and they make things easy for you, because the more attracted a woman is to you, just the easier time, the more of a fun time that you're going to have with them, and just the overall more thriving and an abundant dating life that you will have. So if you want extra help creating that type of dating life and attracting those type of women to you, then I would highly suggest that you check out my free IAB training. I'll have it linked down below in the description, in the pinned comment. I've helped a lot of men maximize their looks, increase and skyrocket their confidence, as well as attract women to them that are not only attractive, but they have high interest and have high attraction for those men, which then allows them to have an amazing dating life on autopilot. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's hop into these 10 social skills. And then towards the end, I'm actually going to be talking about a particular skill that's going to allow you to enhance your bedroom performance and experience with the woman. So be sure that you stay towards the end of this video for that as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's hop into it. So number one, man, is being a great listener. So easily one of the best social skills that you can acquire is the ability to listen more than you speak. And the reason for that is because people gravitate more to people who allow them to express themselves and allow them to be heard. And especially women, this is definitely important to them, because if you think about it, people go to therapists, people pay top dollar for therapy so that they can be listened to, so that they can be heard. So being a great listener and allowing the other person to talk, but in this context of dealing with women, interacting with women, allowing them to talk more, you're definitely going to be someone that they're going to want to be around even more, because you're allowing them to be heard. And we all know that women do love attention. And when you allow them to speak more than you do, you're subtly giving them a dose of their favorite drug, which is attention. And what you're going to find, man, is that when you are listening more than you speak, you're going to find that women are going to say that you are a great conversationalist, that you know how to have a great conversation, that you are someone that is great to talk to. So if you can actually learn to let the woman talk more than you do, you're going to find that she's just going to enjoy her time with you. She's going to enjoy communicating with you a lot more. And this also displays quiet confidence, because by you not talking a whole bunch, you're not having to sell yourself. You're not having to come off as if you're trying to qualify yourself to the woman. Because I think the biggest issue that men run into when they go on dates, this is what I've heard from women countless and countless times, the biggest issue that they have when it comes to going on dates with men is that a lot of these dudes are just talking a whole bunch, and they don't give the woman any opportunity to talk. And I do believe that in large part of this is because these men are trying to sell themselves on the woman. They are trying to qualify themselves to the woman by talking a whole bunch. But as I said at the beginning of this video, this is more so going to be in the context where you are interacting with a woman that has some sort of attraction and interest in you. And as I said as well at the beginning of this video, preferably high interest, high attraction for you. But if you see that you're not constantly trying to interject, you don't have the need to always put your input on something that she says, and you actually allow her the time to speak. And what I would even suggest that you do is you wait at least, let's say 3 to 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds max. That can be a little bit too long, but around 3 to 5 seconds, I would say, 10 being the maximum amount of time that you wait until she's done talking for you to speak. That way you don't interrupt her, you don't interject. And here's something to also consider is that women that are really into you, that are really attracted to you, that you're having a conversation with, even when there's a few seconds of silence, of dead space, they're going to come up with another topic to talk about. They're going to elaborate on a specific topic that they were just discussing. They're going to find ways to keep the conversation going. That's why I wouldn't be so hard on yourself and automatically assume that you have poor communication and social skills if you see that you are on a date or you are interacting with a woman that's not talking a whole bunch. You feel like the conversation is stagnant, and it's not necessarily a reflection of your social skills. It could be, but at the same point, man, women that are really into you, that are attracted to you, they're going to keep the conversation going. So keep that in mind as well. Moving on to number 2 is asking good questions. So being a good listener and paying attention to what a woman says is what's going to allow you to lead to asking good questions. That's why we started off with being a good listener, because the ability to ask good questions is what's also going to allow you to be considered a good conversationalist, someone that has great social skills, and keep the conversation going. For me personally, how I like to view my questions when I'm having an interaction and a dialogue with a woman, I like to look at it as like tree branches, like how tree branches are built upon and are an extension of the tree trunk. Well, that's how I kind of look at my questions. I build my questions upon one another. And one of the things to keep in mind when you're asking questions is ask what, when, why, and how questions, because that's going to get the woman to actually have to reveal more information, invest more in a conversation. You want to avoid yes or no questions as much as you can. It's going to be more contextual and dependent on what the conversation is and why you're asking the question, of course. But if you can more so ask what, when, why, and how questions, she's going to have to reveal a lot more. She's going to have to invest more in the conversation, which can also help the conversation keep going and make it more of like an effortless flow. So that's one thing to consider, but also pay attention to things that a woman is constantly bringing up to you, things that she's constantly mentioning, because it's not by accident. It's because that's something that she cares about, that's on her mind, that's top of mind. So that's one of the things that will allow you to be more of a calibrated communicator and overall just be someone that has higher social skills, is by being calibrated and aware enough to pick up on when a woman is saying something repeatedly. Let me give you an example. So when I was out on Halloween last week, at this point of the recording, Halloween was last Thursday, I went out to a bar with my friend. 2 women sat right next to me to my right, and then the woman from the further seat away from me was interested in me. And throughout the night, we had a conversation, and she was telling me how she had all these things going on, how, you know, she's trying to be a country singer, how she's trying to be a holistic healing coach, that she's really into fitness, and she's trying to do all these things. So I listened to everything that she told me, and she was just telling me how she wants to do all these things. But I noticed the main things that she kept bringing up was how she used to have a lot of anxiety, and that's kind of what brought her to holistic coaching or holistic healing, like meditation and journaling and all these things. But she's also really trying to pursue a career in music and country singing. So I just simply asked her, like, okay, like, it seems like you're really passionate about holistic healing coaching, but it also seems like you're really trying to make this push to be a country singer. Like, which one would you say is the number one priority? Like, which one would you have to pick if you had to only choose one? That was the question I asked her, and she told me country singing just because she really enjoys music. She has a talent for music. She's been singing ever since she was young. So she was elaborating a lot more. She was revealing a lot more information, but I was able to key in on the fact that she kept bringing up country singing and holistic healing and how she used to struggle with anxiety and just all these things. And that's what happens when not only are you a good listener, but that's how you're able to ask good questions. And I always try to bring it back to the woman as well. I do this intentionally because, as I said, women, yes, they do love attention, but people in general love talking about themselves. That's one of the number one hack, if not the number one hack, to being a great conversationalist and having great social skills, is constantly redirecting and bringing the conversation back to the other person if you can, because we care about talking about ourselves the most. We are our favorite topic. So again, the more you can make a woman feel good, the more she's going to associate those positive feel-good feelings and emotions with you. And one of the ways to do that is by asking good questions. So that's number 2. Moving on to number 3 is making and maintaining good eye contact. So being able to maintain good eye contact either while listening or speaking is a skill in of itself. And making good eye contact and really holding good eye contact is a signal of confidence, and is also a dominant and a masculine trait. And here's the thing, when you can maintain good eye contact and make good eye contact with a woman, especially while she's talking, and you're just looking into her eyes and you're not looking anywhere else but her eyes, and you're maintaining that eye contact, she's gonna like it. It's gonna make her a little bit nervous, but she's gonna be attracted to that. Especially when she's attracted to you, the man, she's definitely gonna like that. And the ability to make good eye contact while a woman is talking to you, it also demonstrates that you're actually engaged in the conversation, that you actually care about what she's saying, even if, to a degree you don't. But at least if you sell the fact that you appear to look like you care about what she's saying, which I would suggest, at least to a degree, make sure you are paying attention to what she's saying. That way you can then pick up the conversation from whatever point of the conversation she left off, or whatever she said. You can then piggyback off of what she said, and then you can direct the conversation to wherever you want it to go. But not only is she going to feel like you're engaged in the conversation, which she will appreciate, but it's also, again, making her feel heard. And especially if you're with an attractive woman, or at least a woman that you perceive to be very attractive yourself, you're going to also display to her that you're not getting easily distracted, that you're not just analyzing her body like how some dudes, or a lot of dudes, probably would, right? Like, how in the movies or TV shows, when a dude is talking to a woman with nice breasts, he's constantly looking at her chest, and she's like, hey, my eyes are up here, that type of scenario. Well, you're avoiding doing silly stuff like that by maintaining good eye contact with her, especially while she's talking, and just being engaged, looking into her eyes, and just being very present with her, and allowing her to feel not only heard but important, because your attention is going to her. Because I'm not gonna lie, like, I get irritated if I talk to someone and like I could tell her they're not that engaged in the conversation. I think we've all experienced this, and it can be quite rude, disrespectful, and annoying, and no one likes that. So if you can actually pay the courtesy of actually being engaged in the conversation with the woman, and holding good eye contact, and not deviating your attention all over the place, that's going to be something that she will peep out for, that she will like, that will make you someone that has high level social skills. And just a pro tip, don't do like a long creepy stare, especially like having the bug-eyed look, but engage with her eyes, maintain good eye contact, but don't be afraid to look away from time to time. Or if you blink as you look away, and then bring your eye contact back to her. Just that way you're not just staring at her and not looking anywhere, not blinking at all, to the point where it's not attractive, it's not seductive, it's not sophisticated, but it's creepy. You know what I mean? So make sure you're looking away from time to time, but try to maintain good eye contact for the most part, because it is going to be a trait that they're going to find attractive and appreciate. So that's number 3. Moving on to number 4. This is actually one of my specialties, and something that women have commented on, and people in general have commented on, but noticing small details. Because being a man who can pay attention to small details, this can definitely take you a long way socially. And this can be, let's just broaden this example with me. Like, I go to a Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school, and therefore I see a lot of the same people pretty much every single day, or at least multiple times a week. If I notice somebody has a new haircut, I'm gonna make a compliment on that haircut. Like, oh, hey bro, like, that's a dope fade, man. Like, you look fresh. You know what I mean? If you can pay attention to those small details, that's gonna take you a long way, because these are things that, although it may seem basic, it's the fundamentals that lead to the advanced skills, but the fundamentals are rarely practiced. The fundamentals are rarely implemented. People may even notice small details of somebody, like a hairstyle change or hair color change, or if, like, for women, like, their nails are done or whatever, but no one makes a comment on it. So if you can actually be a man that actually takes time to really analyze anybody, but, like, let's say, again, bringing in the context of women, because that's what we're talking about in today's video, if you can notice, like, maybe there's something that a woman did, a woman that you've been seeing, that you notice that she changed, that you like. It could be, the way her hair looks. Like, maybe she has naturally curly hair, but this time around when you guys went out, she straightened it. Make a compliment about that, man. Or if her nails are done, make a compliment about that. You know what I mean? Or if this is a woman that you're meeting for the first time, if you like an outfit of hers or whatever may stand out to you, it also doesn't have to just be physical, but just for the example of someone changing something about them physically, make a comment about that. Take notice of that small detail, because that's going to be very appreciated, and it's going to show, like, okay, this is a man that actually pay attention. He's aware. He notices the small things. He actually takes his time to be aware of his surroundings, to be aware of the people around him. And that is going to subconsciously communicate that you are someone that can be trusted, that you are someone that she can be safe with. It's all these little things that add up over time. But also just in the sense of when you're communicating with a woman, when you're talking to her, just take notice of her body language, her response time, her facial expressions, enthusiasms, and her responses. And the reason why I say that is because one of the biggest things that I see dudes do when they approach women is that they'll talk to women, but you can clearly tell that the woman is not interested. She'll like have her body shifted away from the dude. She'll make quick eye contact with him, give him like a 1 to 3 word responses, and look back at her friends, and then make a disgusted look at her friends. That's the type of scenario I'm talking about. Like me taking notice of that, me seeing that from the outside looking in, but yet the dude is just constantly talking. That tells me that dude doesn't notice those specific nuances in the changes of her body language, facial expressions, responses, and all those things, which is then going to make it hard for him to calibrate and readjust the way that he's communicating with the woman. But if you can start to just pick up on those things, that's how you become more of a calibrated communicator. That's how you're going to be able to have higher level social skills, by being able to take notice of these things and then adjust and redirect conversation or redirect your approach. And when I say approach, I don't just mean like if you cold approach a woman, but like your approach in terms of the dialogue, the things that you're talking about, where you're trying to deviate the conversation to. And just overall, this is going to help you become more of a socially aware and calibrated man. So that's number 4, noticing small details. And this can also, before we move on, I do this when it comes to silently qualifying women and kind of getting them to talk and reveal things about them. And I'm always keeping track and keeping mental notes of what women say, just in case they try to deviate the next time I talk to them. So I'll just give you an example. I remember there was a date that I went on last December, and I think in the first 10 minutes of me speaking with this girl, because we went to a bar, but I don't drink. And I know I saw some dude a while ago try to like call me out, like, why do you go to the bars if you don't drink? I mean, there's a lot of nice and sophisticated chill bars that I like their vibe, I like the food, but I just will order like a mocktail or something like that, like a virgin mojito. That's usually what I get, and then I'll order an appetizer. But I like the ambiance, the environment of some of the specific bars that I go to. But within 10 minutes of me talking to this girl, she noticed that I didn't drink, and then she made a comment about like, yeah, like I don't drink that much either. I don't like to get ratchet and stuff like that. And when she meant ratchet, she meant like dancing. She was like a Indian woman. But then like, you know, later on in the date, she revealed to me like, oh yeah, like I like to dance ratchet sometimes and stuff like that. I'm like, you just told me the first 10 minutes when we met that you don't like to do all that, and then now you're telling me that you do. So that's something else that you have to be cognizant of, is that when you're speaking with women, make sure that you're keeping track of what they're saying. Keep mental notes of what they're saying, because women can kind of tell on themselves and reveal things to you that maybe they didn't want to reveal to you, or they didn't know that they were revealing to you. That could be a disqualifier for you, as far as like saying one thing and then saying a whole different thing later on, like how this girl in this example that I just told you did. You got to be on point with that stuff too, because women are also qualifying you on the things that you say, the things that you reveal. So you got to do the same, especially when it comes to selecting a woman that you want to see on a consistent basis, that you're actually into, and of course she's into you. You got to do the same thing, and that does come down to noticing small details. So that's number 4. Moving on to number 5 is trying to develop a great memory, because if you can train yourself to have a good memory when speaking to women and people in general, you're going to be someone that they remember, because you remember a lot about them. And this is why I just said in the last point to make sure that you're keeping track of what women say. And this is for future reference to qualify them and make sure like they're staying congruent with the things that they told you. But also, if there are specific details about a woman that you can tell like were very meaningful to her, or that she was constantly bringing up, and you remember that, that's something that you can bring up to her the next time around. So I'll give you another example. So there was this girl that I was dating that she had an interview with some like real estate company to try to get like some type of position as like an executive assistant or something like that. But I guess it was one of those things where a lot of people apply for the job, and she wasn't sure if she was going to get it or not. And she was just talking to me about how she really wanted it and how she had an interview and all this stuff. And she kept bringing this up. So then the next time her and I got together, I asked her, I was like, hey, like, how did that interview go? I know you told me that was something that you were really looking forward to, and that I know you were a bit nervous, but you were ready for the interview. How did that go? That's a small detail. It may not sound like a big deal, but when you remember those things, you have great memory on things that women constantly bring up, especially the things that they constantly bring up, because again, as I said earlier, those are the things that they care about that are really, at least in that point of time, at the top of their minds. That tells them like, okay, he was listening and he actually cares about what I was saying. And it, again, is showcasing a lot of social skills, awareness, and calibration to you that not many men are going to have out here, especially if she's attracted to you on top of you having these great social skills, bro. She's going to view you like a superhero, which stay until the end of the video because I'm going to be talking about how she's going to view you like that in the bedroom. But it goes back down to what I've been repeating, which this is going to be a common theme. It's about women, people in general, making them feel heard, understood, and have a sense of importance. And more specifically, you know, a woman having a sense of importance and worthiness around you. Because I know dudes are gonna be like, oh, but Jordan, women have a lot of egos to them. We don't want to boost their egos. We don't want to validate them, all that stuff. And I get all that, but like, especially if you are a dude that she's really attracted to and she almost feels like you're too good to be with her, she's gonna be a little bit more resistant, or she's not gonna be able to give you her best because she feels like she doesn't measure up to you. So you have to make her feel good. You have to make her feel like she's worthy to be around you. And by showcasing great memory, bringing up things that she spoke about in your guys' last interaction, your last date, your last meeting, you bring that up to her, you're showcasing that to her. You're showcasing that she does have a sense of importance. And these are going to be all positive emotions that, again, she's going to associate with you. Now, moving on to number 6, give genuine compliments to a woman. So don't be afraid to give out a genuine compliment to a woman. And here's the thing. I know a lot of dudes in the dating space talk about don't validate women, don't give them a compliment and stuff like that. And yeah, like don't be a simp with it. Don't be, over the top with it, constantly giving her compliments about her physical traits as far as her face, her body, all these things. Yeah, don't do all that. But at the same point, if there's a genuine compliment that you want to give a woman, and it's more so like you don't really care what the outcome is in terms of you giving that genuine compliment, as far as like, okay, if I tell her this, maybe she'll sleep with me. Like that's lame. You don't need to do all that, especially if she's already attracted to you, man. Like you don't need to do all that. That's all I'll say on that. Like that stuff is more than likely going to happen. That's why you don't have to try a whole bunch. That's why you don't have to do, a whole bunch of work in that regard when the woman's already attracted to you, right? And I would say, like, when a woman is into you, when she's highly attracted to you, if anybody's compliment is going to matter to her, it's going to be from you because she's into you. Because I bet you that if a woman that you're really into complimented you on your face, your body, your fashion, your style, how you smell good, your haircut, you'd be smiling like the Joker. Damn well you'd be smiling like the Joker, right? So it goes both ways, man. It goes both ways. And I would suggest, like, don't only give a compliment centered around a woman's physical traits, but also compliment her on her characteristic traits, right? Like if she's a nice girl, she's very polite to the server, to the waiter, whomever. If that's something that stands out to you, make a comment about that. Like, that's fine, man. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'll tell you this too, is that dudes who tell you not to validate a woman, okay, assuming like if the woman's attracted to you, the dudes who tell you don't validate a woman are trying to take away that player vibe that women do like. Women do like a man with a player vibe. Do they necessarily like the player tendencies that come with a man that is a player, as far as, cheating and dogging her out and stuff like that? No, not necessarily, but they do like a player vibe. And a man that is a quote unquote player, or more specifically, they have a player vibe. They're not out here being promiscuous. They're not out here doing women wrong and stuff like that. But they know how to make a woman feel good by giving her genuine compliments, making them blush a little bit, making them smile and stuff like that, man. If you could be that dude that can give a genuine, sincere compliment, and especially if it's a compliment that maybe not many people wouldn't take notice on, they wouldn't necessarily compliment, like a woman being polite to somebody or whatever the case is. But if you can give a genuine compliment to a woman, she's already into you, bro. Like, she's gonna eat that up. She's gonna like that. She's gonna appreciate that. Because I know, again, dudes don't want to validate women and stuff like that. They don't want to come off like simps. But if you're constantly giving compliments to a woman that, number one, doesn't like you, that isn't into you like that, and also doesn't reciprocate that energy back to you, like, yeah, that's going to be considered simping. Like, yeah, that's when you're doing too much. But if it's a woman that's already attracted to you, that's already into you, bro, give her a compliment if it's genuine and it's something that you actually want to give her, because you want her to just, know like, hey, I picked this up about you. I noticed this about you. I noticed this trait. I noticed, the way that you styled your outfit. I really like it. You know what I mean? I really like how you piece these colors together. I really like how you piece this outfit together. You have a good eye for fashion. Something like that, man. Something like that. Don't be afraid to give genuine compliments, bro, because I'm telling you, women that are into you, that are attracted to you, they are going to like that. Now, moving on to number 7 is the ability to banter and joke around. So being able to banter and joke around with women during the appropriate times in a conversation is going to be an attractive trait. Now, this is more so going to be for women who are naturally, more on the bantering and joking side of things. They have more of a humor to them. This is going to show them that you don't take yourself or life too serious, in the sense where you know how to be lighthearted at the appropriate calibrated times, that you know how to have a good time. You know how to take some jokes that she may throw at you lightly. I remember one of the women I was seeing, that was something that she really liked, was just the ability of me being able to banter and joke with her. And here's the thing about me, I do like to joke around a lot. When I say a lot, I'm not saying like I'm constantly cracking jokes and stuff like that, but I like to have a good time. This is just what people in general. I like to have a good laugh. I like to roast. I like to just have a good time. So if I see that a woman is naturally gravitating to that type of personality as well, she's kind of into that, into the bantering and joking and stuff like that, I will add to that energy as well. And this also just shows that you're not an overly sensitive man, as far as like you can take a joke, and you're also not so worried about saying the wrong thing, in the sense of maybe you throwing a joke at her, like if she's dishing it to you, you can be able to dish it back. Whereas most dudes, they want to walk on eggshells around women, especially the women that they like, because they're trying to get at her. They're trying to be able to be intimate with her and all this stuff, and they don't want to mess up that opportunity. They're thinking to scarcity. They're thinking in a scarce mindset rather, and they're putting that woman on the pedestal. But if you can be a dude that can dish it out to, you can banter, you can joke, and you're not too worried about saying the wrong thing, that is going to be an attractive trait. So that's number 7, the ability to banter and joke. Moving on to number 8 is also not being scared to challenge the woman and disagree with her from time to time. Now, this doesn't mean having serious debates or getting into arguments, but don't be afraid to challenge a particular belief, maybe, or a thought process at times. And when I say a belief, maybe not like politics and religion and stuff. Those are too serious of topics that I wouldn't necessarily get into. But let's bring it back to this woman that I met on Halloween. She told me how she was 22 and how she was mature for her age. And I was like, oh yeah? Like, what makes you say that? That's what I mean as far as like challenging, not just taking her word for it, but like I asked her like, oh yeah, like what makes you say that? Elaborate, like explain. Because women will say that, like, especially women who are like in their early 20s, they'll say like, oh yeah, like, I'm mature for my age and all this stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, like really, like what makes you say that? Why is that? You know what I mean? That's kind of what I mean by challenging a woman's belief, or kind of just adding, a little bit of a pushback to the conversation. Don't do this every single time, but in that specific context, that's what I mean by challenging or just pushing back a bit. Or when it comes to disagreeing with something that you genuinely disagree with, right? Don't just do these things for the heck of it because you're trying to make the girl more attracted to you. Because as I've been saying throughout this video, and what I said at the beginning of the video, this is more so in the context where you are interacting with a woman that is already attracted to you. She has already shown you high interest. That's why you don't have to sell yourself on the woman. You don't have to sell yourself on her liking you. She already does like you. At least she should, based on the context of this video. But if you genuinely disagree with something that a woman says, and dependent on the seriousness of the topic, but just for like little things, you know what I mean? I would say I have to respectfully disagree with that, but I do respect your opinion. You know what I mean? Like it could just be about anything, man. Like maybe she's into basketball and she thinks that LeBron is better than Michael. That's not that serious, but it is kind of serious at the same time. But it's not something like, politics, religion, all these things. That's when you could say, I have to respectfully disagree with that, but I respect your opinion. Or, if it's in more of like a lighthearted, joking way, you can be like, nah, like get out here, like MJ's a GOAT, like LeBron's up there, but MJ's a GOAT. You know what I mean? It could be also in that way, depending on just the vibe of the conversation, the tonality of it. But that's what I mean, man. That's how you can go about challenging a woman, as far as just giving her a little bit of pushback or getting her to kind of explain more of herself, not just taking her word for certain things that she says so easily, and then respectfully disagreeing, not being emotional about it, not being in your feelings, but being able to politely, but also in a masculine way, disagree with the woman, because this also shows you that you have a backbone, that you have your own beliefs, and that you're not just going to be a yes man for a woman just because you're trying to get with her, like how 99% of men are doing. So that's number 8. Moving on to number 9 is the ability to work the room. So women don't just pay attention to how you interact with them, but they also peep out how you interact with people around you, because they're also thinking, let's say if they're thinking from more of a longer term perspective, potentially with you, they're thinking like, okay, how is he going to interact with my friends? How is he going to interact with my siblings? How is he going to interact with my family? They're thinking about these things. They're taking up all this data, all this information about you, and they are slowly qualifying you, one bit at a time. Now, the more attractive she is to you, the more she's going to give you passes, the more you can kind of, get by certain things, or more likely she's going to overlook some red flags. But women are constantly analyzing and qualifying a man. Don't get that twisted. And let's say if you're out on a date with a woman, what I would suggest that you do, man, is interact with the server. Interact with the bartender, man. Try to work the room if you can. Don't go out of your way to do it unnecessarily. But if there's an opportunity to where you can work the room, and it could just be as simple as asking the server, hey, how's your day going? Or, hey, how's your night going? What time do you get off? Oh, I get off at so-and-so. Okay, well, you got a couple more hours. You're almost there. It'll be here before you know it. It could be as simple as that. Just acknowledging someone else around you and just being more of a great communicator, in the sense of just taking awareness of the other people around you. Because what you're going to find is that dudes are going to be all nice, and they're going to try to be smooth talkers and be nice to the women that they're with, but everyone else around them, they'll treat them like shit. Everyone else around them, they won't talk to them. And that's not to say you have to talk to everybody, but being respectful, investing into other people around you, because you have to remember, these are people with lives, feelings, a beating heart, just like yourself. Like, they want to be acknowledged. Everybody wants to be acknowledged. I don't care how tough you want to be, how alpha you want to be, and all this shit. People want to be acknowledged, right? People do want to be acknowledged. And I will say that this is going to make you more charismatic, in the sense where you're doing these little things that most people aren't doing, that people may know about, but they don't implement, they don't take action on. And not only is this going to make you a charismatic man, but the woman will also see that you don't just put her on a pedestal, in the sense where you're trying to put on a show and be like this smooth dude, like I've been saying, but you're not just a smooth dude for her. You're the smooth dude in general. You're a great communicator in general. You know how to make other people feel good, not just the woman feel good, because you're a fly, smooth talking dude that she's already attracted to, that she's already into, that people enjoy speaking with, they enjoy being around. And she's also going to see that you are a good dude, that you're a great person to speak with, and that other people, if they're receptive to you, man, if other people are receptive to you as well, she's going to peep that, because that's also social proof. Like, okay, like, not only am I into him, not only am I having a good conversation with him, but other people like having a conversation with him. So just to give you an example of this, so last weekend I went out to the bar. I had a couple of friends of mine that wanted to treat me for my birthday. My birthday was a little bit over a month ago, but they wanted to treat me. And when I walked into the door of the bar, they had a security guard that was working there. And as he was checking my ID, I looked down at his shoes and I saw that he had some all red Jordan 6s on. So anybody that's into shoes, I'm talking about the Jordan Retro 6s. So I actually used to be a sneakerhead when I was younger. I used to be all about Jordans, collecting Jordans and all that stuff. So I noticed his shoes. I was like, hey man, like, I like the 6s, man. I like the all red 6s. Those look fly. He was like, oh man, thank you. And he was like, man, did you see the new 15s or 20s that came out? I was like, nah, man, I didn't. Or he asked me if I got them. I was like, nah, man, I didn't. I was like, I really only like Jordans from 1 through 14. And he was like, oh man, like really? And then he showed me a picture of some Jordan 14s that just dropped, I think last weekend. And then he went on to show me on his phone, he pulled up the Nike sneakers app. He showed me the Jordan 9s that I think are going to be dropping here soon. And we were just having a conversation about that. And then boom, I built a connection with him. You know, we exchanged names after he checked my ID, after he said I was good to go and he got done showing me the shoes. I was like, what's your name, by the way? And then he told me. I shook his hand and I said, I'm Jordan. Nice to meet you, man. Thank you for checking my ID. Hope you have a good rest of your night. You know, so now I build a connection with him. So the next time I come up in there, I know he's going to be looking out for me as far as just having a conversation with me, you know, just being cool and stuff like that. That's what I mean by working the room. Again, I didn't say anything crazy. I didn't do anything, you know, super, you know, crazy out of this world, but it's just doing the little small things that do make the biggest differences. So that's number 9, is working the room. And then moving on to the 10th and final social skill. This is going to be more so for the bedroom, but that is the ability to dirty talk. Yes, the ability to dirty talk. So here's the thing. If you're an attractive man, the woman is into you. She's physically into you. She wants to be intimate with you. But not only that, but if you know how to dirty talk with a woman, she's going to view you as a superhero. Now, I'm going to put this in more simplistic terms, but dirty talk, in my opinion, comes down to being masculine, giving instruction on what you want the woman to do, and describing things in great detail. And the more you can describe things in great detail, right? I'll leave that up to your imagination, but the more you can describe things in great detail, you're painting a mental picture in a woman's mind. And the more you're kind of putting her, like the more detailed you can be, it's almost like she has a blurry photo in her head. And the more detailed you can be, the more the image becomes more detailed. The more her vision goes from being blurry to 20/20. And it feels like whatever's going on in her head feels like it's happening in real life, which is going to be causing a lot of mental stimulation. But then, of course, during this act, there's more than likely going to be physical stimulation that she's going to be experiencing. So she has mental stimulation and physical stimulation happening all at once. And if you know what you're doing, you're going to be able to allow a woman to reach the promised land, especially if you're speaking in a more seductive way, a masculine seductive way. While also, how I like to do, I like to be slow. Like I like to have like a slow cadence to my voice, as far as just being cool, calm, and collected. Even though, you know, the woman could be going crazy, she's going crazy, but you got to be even keel. You got to be cool. You got to be calm. You got to be collected. You know, you're talking your shit basically. But by doing this, by, you know, talking in this way, having great dirty talk, and, you know, you have things going on physically, physical stimulation is occurring, but also mental stimulation. This is how you're going to get the woman to reach the promised land, man. If you know what I mean, it starts with the O. Right? Got to be a little bit, you know, sophisticated and fly under the radar because of YouTube. But you know what I mean, right? The things that women really want from men that men can't really give women out here, from what I've been told. That's how you're going to allow them to reach the promised land. And I'll tell you this, because dudes talk a lot about mouthpiece and all this stuff. In my opinion, this is a litmus test to see if you have a mouthpiece. If you have good dirty talk game and you can make a woman reach the promised land, bro, especially on top of the fact that she's already attracted to you, like, yeah, you got a mouthpiece on you. Yeah, you got a mouthpiece on you. That's how I know I got a mouthpiece on me, because I've been able to make women reach the promised land from the things that I've said, but also she's already attracted. You know what I mean? So if you know how to dirty talk, bro, I promise you, on top of all the other things I talked about, on top of the woman already being attracted and into you, you know how to dirty talk, bro, it's going to be game over. Especially if you can allow her to reach the promised land, she's going to be all over you, man. She's yours forever, damn near. With that being said, again, if you want extra help when it comes to maximizing your looks, becoming the most attractive version of yourself, but also attracting women to you who are already highly interested in you, they're already highly attracted to you. They're not going to flake on you. They actually want to go on dates with you. They actually want to see you. They want to spend time with you. You don't have to feel like you have to, you know, sell yourself on them. You have to qualify yourself to them. If anything, they're probably going to be working for you. They're going to be working for your attention. They're going to be working for your validation. And overall, they're going to be treating you and viewing you like the prize. If you want that type of dating life and have a more thriving and abundant dating life on autopilot that feels effortless, like women are not only coming to you, but they're highly attracted to you, and just overall they treat you like a king, then I would highly suggest that you check out my free IAB training. I'll have it linked down below in the description and the pinned comment. With that being said, if you got a lot of value from this video, please give it a like, subscribe for more videos like this. And with that being said, I will talk to you in the next video.